Kartrutvam, Bhoktrutvam, all these which the person is experiencing are not real. That means from his own understanding or from his individuality, from his personality, the element of samsara, the element means that he is an individual, that he is subject to birth and death, that he is subject to many good and bad, that he is an agent of action, and he is bound by cause and effect relationship. He is a part of a world, that he is a part of a world. He cannot sever his relationship with the world, that he is surrounded by the world and is a part of the world. He has to interact with the world. There is no choice. He has no choice but to interact with the world. And the world is multiple. Multiple means full of many objects. They keep influencing us, and you are bound by the laws of nature, mainly the cause and effect. Cause and effect. And with all these things, okay, world is limited, world follows certain laws, all that is okay. When it comes to himself, he finds himself to be a limited individual, that is Jiva. Okay. As a Jiva, he is a limited being, wanting in many things. He wants in many, he lacks many things. And those wants make him struggle hard. Therefore, he wants to become something. He wants to become something. And that something what he wants is not clear. It is not a given particular thing that he can acquire it easily. It's not a given thing. And whatever he is achieving is not going to solve his problem permanently. The problem is that he is a wanting person and he is subject to many things. Because of his desiring, because of his wanting and desiring, he is forcibly subjected to many things. As an individual, I need many things. I have to become somebody else. I have to become something. I have to acquire something. I have to enjoy something. Many things. I have to acquire many things. And these many things won't come that easily. They have to be acquired in the world. And the world is not an easy thing. It won't supply you all the things easily. And even if it supplies, see, there are two problems. One is the world won't supply you with you, the world won't supply you with the things which you want easily. You have to work hard, struggle hard. Secondly, even if it supplies, you are not going to be completely satisfied with them. Some of them you get, you enjoy. After a few days again you find the same person suffering, same person seeking, wanting and seeking. There seems to be endless. More I acquire, more I continue to be the same person, same wanting person and seeking person. Okay, that is the biggest problem. This is the state of a suffering person, a jiva, an individual atma. That is a jiva. Therefore, here in this 14th and 15th shlokas, there is a big misunderstanding. The problem is not a reality. The problem which you are suffering from is not a reality. It is just a misperception about yourself and about the world. Okay? There is a big misperception, misunderstanding you are suffering from. Volume tala takku unda? Okay. I shall plug again. I hope it is better now. ఇప్పుడు వినిపిస్తుందా అండి? వాల్యూమ్ చాలా తక్కువగా ఉంది అంటున్నారు. ఇప్పుడు బెటర్గా ఉందా? ನಾನು ಪ್ಲಗ್ಗಿಂಗ್ ಮೈಕನ್ನು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಪ್ಲಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. I hope it is okay. If it is not hearing, I should know so that I can do something whatever I can within my reach. I hope it is better. I think everybody is able to hear. Okay. So, Ajnani's perception too low. వినిపిస్తోంది. I think it may be problem with you there only. Yeah, some are able to hear and some are not. That means there is some problem in your things. Okay, let me continue. So the human being is a wanting person and a seeking person. Okay, and this wanting and seeking person, continuously seeking, it seems to be endless. Because anything I acquire and enjoy, I seem to be the same wanting person. In spite of acquiring, enjoying, struggling hard. So this must make me to understand that somewhere something is wrong with my whole approach to life. See, this makes you a wise person. Somewhere something is wrong with my whole approach to life. Otherwise, we do piecemeal correction. Partial correction, we try to adjust, readjust, change that thing, this thing. Again we do, again we learn. There are many branches of knowledge in life. The modern technology also is capable of producing things. It helps you to produce many things, many comfortable, enjoyable things it produces. It helps you to acquire them very fast and helps you to enjoy them. But in spite of this technology, knowledge, the two things I feel, everybody knows probably, but just to contrast, we generally analyze this modern life also. Compared to the previous life, the modern civilized life has got two extra points which I find. One is machinery, with the help of which we can produce the things in large number. Okay, in olden days it was not so easy. The machines help us. One is producing in large number, production and supply in large number. Because of technology. Second is the organization. These two distinguish the modern civilization from the previous civilization. One is production in large scale because of machines, industrial production or anything, whether agricultural or industrial production, producing in large number through machines and organization. In those days it was not so much organized, not so many machines. This changed the whole setup. It changed our morality, changed our society, it changed our economy, changed our individual understanding. Person became too self-centered. You destroyed a lot of nature. Dependency on nature has become much more. All this approach suffers from one biggest defect, unforgivable defect of human being, not of any particular person. He thinks that this modern civilization, which is characterized by production and organization, it thinks that by producing more number of things, more number of products and enjoying them, you become a happier person. But it should make him to understand, even after so much of civilization, do you find modern person, civilized person, more happier than the previous person. You may have more gadgets, more machines, more gadgets, more organized things, more number of things to enjoy. But happiness, not pleasure I am talking. Pleasure is different. Comfort, pleasure is different from happiness. Okay? Comforts you get, pleasure you get, but do you become happy? Happiness is a different thing. Okay? More things we get, more we get comforts and pleasure. And even comforts and pleasures also suffering. Because along with civilization, along with more comforts and pleasure, there are more things to make you to worry and suffer. More things are coming up which makes you suffer, which make you suffer and also worry. They cause you tension, worries, ego, frustration, anger. Just as people are organized for production and supply, people are organized for destroying and exploitation also. The same organization applies. Machines means or electric, electronic, the destructive weapons, etc. The more machines for producing your objects of enjoyment, the same machines, the same technologies producing destructive weapons also, harmful weapons also. See, you have more weapons, you can destroy you. You meet with more serious accidents compared to those days. Because you can damage the person, hurt the person. Then for that more technology. See, proportionate to the production with the machine, what is coming is the weapons of destructiveness, weapons of harming are also coming in same proportion. Organizing, you can produce and enjoy the things with the help of an organized life, organized society. The same organized society is becoming a mafia gang also. There were mafia gangs. Now we are getting mafia societies, mafia nations. Earlier there were mafia gangs. Now gradually the world is becoming mafia nations, mafia societies. Ultimately human being himself is becoming a mafia person. The human being himself is becoming a mafia person, not a sane, simple human being who lives close to nature, who loves nature, who feels a part of nature and lives a simple life and a happy life, peaceful and happy life. Because the more that ambitious, more enjoyments, more objects, more production, more organized work makes you more ambitious, more frustration, more suffering. The peace and happiness are still eluding. Okay, they're still eluding. Therefore, the Shastra says, this we have been discussing on and off because Vairagyam is required to be able to understand the truth of life. Because to discover the truth, people think that anybody can discover, anybody can't. Because first, your mind will not be ready to search for it. You may have a curiosity. Curiosity is not searching, remember. In spirituality, curiosity is not enough. You require a sincere searching, a sincere seeking for the truth. Because seeking means your whole personality, whole life has to be dedicated for it. Dedicated means whole life is surrendered to it. Whole life is oriented to it. That way. Whole life is oriented to it. It should be the goal of your entire life, not one part of your life. It should be the goal of your entire life, that you want to become totally free and peaceful and happy. It's not, peace and happiness is not one of the objects in life, one aspect of your life. Peace and happiness is not one object, is not one aspect of your life. Therefore, you can't say that you can devote a small time and a little effort out of curiosity. You pick up and later you can do something else. No. It should be the main, it should be the entire goal of life. It should be the only goal of entire life. The only goal is find out the truth of myself. because the goal is such that by knowing which you will become totally liberated from your entire process of suffering and all, samsara. Therefore, it should become the only goal of entire life. Okay? It should become the only goal of entire life, not one aspect, not one part. For this, you have to first observe the very life. Life means not one or two objects or one or two event. Life doesn't mean only your life, your interaction, or your life. See, observing life in Vedantic way is different from observing life in another way. Social way, economics, societies, and psychologists' way of observation. They observe individuals' life. Okay, we are not watching individuals' life. We are watching the universal individual's life. Universal life. We take a human being as a universal person. And his sufferings, his problems are universal. Universal in the sense belonging to all people. What is a universal person in you? Don't see an individual. Each person has got individual problems, individual interactions, worries, money, economic, social, all kinds of problems, family problems, personal problems and all. We are talking of a universal person. All the people, it is there a core personality in everybody. Everybody is seeking happiness. Everybody is an individual. Everybody is surrounded by the world and he has to face and interact. See, these are not things pertain to given people or few people. It pertains to everybody on the earth. They are all just universal. Okay. Therefore, it is a universal persons. Universal means all over the world is the same. Even if it takes another birth, as a human being or an animal or a devata or anywhere, the jivatvam, the problem will remain the same because the problem is centered upon yourself. This is what Vedanta says. The problem of samsara is centered upon myself. Myself means my individual self. That means your being an individual is responsible for the whole samsara. Samsara, the suffering which you have, the birth, fear of death, fear of suffering, insecurity, worries, tensions, all this is not due to given situation, given few factors. It is due to your being an individual. As an individual, you are bound to face the world. As an individual, you are a part of the world, you are bound to face the world, you are to subject to laws of the nature. And you are a seeking person, wanting person, all this is because you are an individual. Therefore, the problem of samsara is centered upon yourself as an individual. And I am an individual. I find myself to be an individual subject to suffering, subject to seeking, wanting, seeking and suffering. Though I get a little bit of happiness on the way, but still it is not satisfying, it is not enough. In fact, whatever little happiness I get, it makes me more dependent, more ambitious, more seeking, more hopeful. More hopeful which cannot fulfill. It builds up hope, but it is a false hope. It builds more false hope because if a few little pleasures here and there, you get them. And these pleasures, these comforts build up hope which cannot be fulfilled. Because no worldly objects, no comforts, no pleasures can make you really free from all problems, including fear of death and suffering and all. Okay. Because all this entire samsara is centered upon myself, my understanding about myself and the world around. Okay. So, the problem is centered upon myself. Myself means what? Where? Where does the problem exist? It exists in your perception of yourself as well as the world. Okay? Perception of yourself, an understanding of yourself. Vedanta says, others are tentative solutions. They are only part of the problem. You may slightly modify, you may slightly readjust, you may slightly correct, but all of them are superficial corrections, superficial modifications. They don't touch the core of the problem, they don't solve your problem permanently. Okay. The real problem, the root of the problem is a perception about yourself and about the world. What is that? Which is a universal perception. You think that you are an individual, subject to pain and pleasure, subject to, and as an individual you are a doer, you are an enjoyer, and you are subject to birth and death. You are an individual possessing a body, mind and sense organs, possessing a body, set of sense organs and mind. Okay. And as an individual, you are a part of the world, you are interacting with the world, you are subject to the world. This is you. This is you and the world. This itself is a basic wrong perception. This is what Shastra has to say. People don't observe this level. Universal being, observe the universal person. That means there is a universal person in us, which is same in you, in everybody, in all of us. Individual varies. Certain individual differences vary. You may have one kind of suffering which I don't have. I may have one kind of a disease which you do not have. Okay? But everybody is subject to death. Everybody is subject to birth and death. Everybody is subject to some kind of physical problem, physical suffering. So this is a common universal. Okay? Everybody is suffering from insecurity and worry and tensions. Everybody is wanting, everybody seeks pleasures, money and social security, recognition. Everybody is subject to time and space. Everybody is limited. Your powers are limited. A person may enjoy a greater power than you, physical power, economic power, social power, intellectual power and all. Somebody may have something more than me, yet ultimately he is also seeking for more power than what he has. See, I have some power, I have some strength, I have some capacity. Being dissatisfied with what I am trying to seek. I am trying to become something else. Somebody who has more capacity, more power, more strength, still he is also trying to seek something more. Therefore, whatever you have, comparatively with others, more or less, you are the same suffering person. Somebody may have more, I have a less. Or I have a more, somebody have less. Somebody has still more. But all of them are equally wanting and seeking. See, this relative more and less doesn't make difference in your being a jiva, as a jiva suffering samsara. That's why this comparison, equality, Vedanta doesn't bother much. Because this has become a foolishness. Foolishness of individuality, foolishness of jiva. He is getting wrongly diverted from the real problem of jivatvam. Just by comparing with others, you see somebody has more, therefore socially he has got more, economically he has got more power, more money, more strength, therefore he is better off and I am suffering. And see, comparing with others, finding that you have something less, and you think that this comparative inequality, means comparative less compared to others, is a cause of your samsara. And this is one mistake, a biggest mistake. Second is, therefore, other one is responsible who enjoys more than me, who has got some more physical power, more economic power, more intellectual power, language better, more learned, is a better scholar. He has got some kind of money and power and political power and other thing. Therefore, he is exploiting me and therefore I am suffering from it. This is relative things alone. In socio-economic things, people think that the other person is responsible, therefore hate him, fight with him, try to get back, try to extract more from him so that you become equal to him. See, one simple logic I tell you, when the other person, simple, I tell you, this is the biggest mistake, you correct yourself. And our Vedanta is telling us, let us correct this. The person, in spite of enjoying more power, more money, more strength, greater intellect, greater scholarship, he is also wanting person, seeking person, exactly like I am. As I am a jiva, subject to birth and death and subject to suffering, subject to everything else, subject to laws of nature, he is also suffering from the same thing. So this inequality doesn't make any difference to your being a jiva and going through samsara. Okay. You're going through samsara doesn't make any difference, because in spite of more and less, in spite of inequality, in spite of somebody having more, somebody having less, the core issue that you are an individual, that you are a jiva, is the same. Therefore, in spite of more or less, all are suffering from the same jivahood. All are suffering from the same problem. You may have a less money, therefore you look for more. You have 1,000 rupees, you look for 10,000 rupees. Other fellow has got 1 lakh and is looking for 10 lakh. The seeking is same. He has more money, but he has to spend more money. Okay, the more money doesn't make you happier. More money also equally gives the same trouble. You have to again earning the tension for worry, for earning and spending and tax paying, and all those things remain the same. Okay. So the universal problem, that's why Hinduism or Vedanta never bothered about inequality, because inequality doesn't make any difference. They say equality. Equality they make as a solution, universal solution of all problems. Oh, it is an utter foolishness. It is an insult to human being that he is getting diverted to the wrong issue, ignoring the real issue, ignoring the real source of the problem. Ignoring the real source of the problem. Just a minute. So, ignoring the don't look at my postures, you just listen to me. I keep changing a lot of things. Okay, so the real problem is centered upon my understanding about myself and life. Ignoring these things, superficial things, partly he has got little more money, I have less money, and they start hating the person and try to become a mafia and try to exploit him and take away from him. If individually you can't take, you can't extract, you can't snatch his money, you organize, you use weapons. And if you organize, use weapon, they also start organizing. Then there is an organized gang wars, inter-gang war, and nations have becoming inter-gang wars alone. There are mafia gangs, mafia nation. Nations don't have a noble ideals, noble goals of life. Nations have become mafia gangs. Okay, one nation attacks another nation, and the nations also form a mafia gang. Earlier, human beings, individuals are forming mafias, gangs. Now then, a nation itself has become a mafia gang. Again, few nations come together in gang and try to enslave other nations. And those nations which are enslaved, they come together and they form a gang and they compete with you. Okay. Now the inter-gang wars. Is it a civilization? You have more weapons, so that's all. For the same mafia gang wars, you have got better weapons, more organized, more media to provoke yourself, hate each other. Isn't it? No, the core issue is forgotten, neglected. Superficial differences alone are falsely diagnosed as the real cause of the problem. Falsely, you attribute to the superficial differences. You attribute to these differences the problem of life. Therefore, try to, in fact, by the superficial differences, you create more problems. Hate each other. Whether knowledges and some of the religions also are becoming mafia gangs alone. They try to socially increase your number, enslave the people, psychologically, intellectually enslave them, brainwash them to think that only one God is your God and your organization, your religion alone is great. But the other person also does the same thing. Both are unverifiable, both are beliefs, both are blind beliefs. Nobody knows what is the fact. But whoever organizes better, whoever manipulates, whoever brainwashes others, whoever controls others becomes more powerful. He can exploit others. And by exploitation, he thinks that he is a happier person. Is he happy? He is the same suffering person. Therefore, modern civilization, modern knowledges, branches of knowledge, they are all aggravating the problem, they are not solving the problem. Vedanta says the problem is centered upon the very perception of individuality, your understanding of yourself and the world. You think you are an individual bound to the body, okay? That you are identified with the body, you are an individual. As an individual, you are agent of action. As an individual, you are seeking learning, you are seeking more enjoyments, comforts, and acquire them and enjoy them. You are a karta, bhokta, subject to birth and death. Vedanta says, Ajnanena avrutam jnanam tena muhyanti. Bhagavad Gita, each shloka is superb shloka. Each shloka you contemplate again and again. Those 2 shlokas we are not able to proceed because 1 week gap. In 1 week, again you look at the shloka, new ideas come. Again you think, again new ideas. New idea means new depth, new angle of looking at it. So each shloka is, that's why these are not simple books of ideas of some individual. They are the universal facts. Bhagavad Gita, each shloka is pointing out the universal truth of life. So more you pay attention, more you discover, more you go deeply into it, ultimately you discover the total truth. It keeps you on. It's a contemplative material. It is something to be contemplated. It helps you to discover deeper and deeper truth, ultimately the final truth. Okay. Therefore, ajnanena avrutam jnanam, na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya sujati prabhu. This is the real suffering. Kartrutvam, karmani, bhoktrutvam. Okay. This is the individuality you have, and because of that you are surrounded by the world, you are subject to the laws of the world, you have to interact with the world, and you have to struggle within the world to become something. The sense of becoming is an eternal problem, seems to be endless problem at least. Seeking. Okay. Vedanta says this whole approach is wrong. First it points out, you look at it, somewhere something is wrong. Do you feel the other person whom you are jealous of, either as an individual or a nation? As a nation you say America is more powerful. Do you feel America is happier than us? Have they solved their problem of jivahood and birth and death? You mean they are happier? Or they are also seeking, struggling, worried, tensions, more problems, more crime, more psychological problems, same part. You may have a little more sophisticated problem, sophisticated jiva is only sophisticated samsara. Samsara is same. Have they corrected the samsara? Have they transcended the samsara? Or within samsara they are only making a problem? It is something like a more sophisticated crime. Instead of simple problem, you make it a more complicated problem, that's all. Instead of simple crime, you make it a organized crime, that's all. Similarly, some of the more powerful nations have more weapons. They can exploit you, they can kill you, they can do all kinds of things. But they are also suffering the same ego, same jealousy, same suffering, same thing is there. Okay. Just as individual compares with other people, certain groups compare with other people and feel that we are discriminated. Oh, they are more powerful. We are exploited, discriminated. And they also, discriminating exploitation alone is their goal, their ideology, their religion. There are certain economic ideologies. They teach that how your nation surges forward and also enslaves others. How to exploit and enslave other countries. Certain religions also says our religion should dominate others. All of them are seeking the same thing. One fellow is seeking domination, other fellow who is suppressed, who is enslaved, he wants to become free from the enslavement and want to dominate others. See, a slave when he is liberated, do you think he treats equally with others? Once he gets a chance, he wants to dominate others. The problem is the same. Jivahood, seeking something. You don't know what you are seeking. but something tentatively you assume, you think that this could be the problem and try to solve it. Therefore, the very diagnosis is going wrong. And based upon the wrong diagnosis, keep on spending money, working hard, lot of your energy, time, mind and everything, you get brainwashed. You think that inequality is a real problem. Suppose equality. In French Revolution, they brought equality. Do you think French people are happier than us? Okay, I don't say that it is not required, but okay, a little bit of social change, little bit of economic, some kind of interactions, that the extreme torture is gone, but the suffering of the main jivahood, the jiva suffering, that you are subject to birth and death and all that remains the same. Because the problem which is centered around your perception about yourself and life, that remains untouched. Vedanta says that needs to be understood. Okay. So therefore, na datte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhu ajnane. Okay, the religion. Second shloka touches about other world and little more religious ideas. Even the religious ideas also don't change your individuality as a jivahood. The religious understanding, the karmakanda understanding doesn't change your individuality. That you remain a jiva, suffering jiva, wanting jiva, seeking and struggling, it remains the same. Insecurity, worry, all that remains the same. A person who is enslaved is worried and under tension. You think person who is enslaved, who is dominating, is he free from worry and tension? A person who is dominating is also worried, is also suffering from the same tension, worry. Therefore, in Indian society, economically people are different, socially different. Education means modern education, not of the old education. Information, let us say. Information wise, somebody knows one aspect more, another aspect less. There is an open inequality, but our society was not based upon jealousy. We accept inequality as natural. Each one plays his own role. In fact, it is not inequality because it is unequality. Inequality, nobody uses it to exploit others and then enslave others. We accept it is a part of life. It is a mutual helping. Unequal people mutually help. They help each other because all are dependent. A tyrant also is dependent on people whom he enslaves. Okay. You need to enslave. Enslave means you need others, somebody. The other person also needs you. See, a slave needs the master, master needs the slave. Therefore, the societies, instead of paying attention to these wrong things, wrong means instead of wrongly diagnosing, go to the core of the issue, that you are an individual, that is a real problem. Other things also according to the need. Nobody wants this exploitation, slavery and all that. It's not that we are recommending that as a good. But differences, don't be too much of intolerant of differences. Differences are natural. They are part of individuality, part of family, part of society, part of nations, part of the world. But let them not make use of them to exploit each other. Differences are there, they are enjoyable. The differences let us use positively, constructively, with a good intention, good heart, with a humanistic heart for helping each other. Okay? The differences should not become a problem. So person can use anything negatively. It is the ego that is the problem. It is using everything, anything. Modern civilization, they say it was brought only to liberate people. But the same civilization is used to destroy him, used to enslave him, used to destroy his nature, and used to enslave him again. Modern civilization is also no less enslavement than the old people. At least they have a natural water, natural air, close to nature. Live, you can enjoy nature and live. Now you can't even look at nature. You can only see the plastic nature shot by camera on the cell phone. In your cell phone, you can see the false nature. Plastic, artificially built nature, you can see. Therefore, ajnanena avrutam jnanam. Your misperception about yourself and the world is a real source. Therefore, jnanena tu tadajnanam. When you understand that you are not the body, you are not an individual, you are not the mind and sense organ, you are the pure consciousness, which is incomparable, which doesn't exclude anything, which includes all people. Nobody is outside you, nobody is separated from you. You include everybody, and you are not an individual, therefore you are not exclusive. You are all pervasive, all inclusive. When you discover that real you, the real you is already free and happy. There is no fear of death because you are not subjected to death. You are not subject to time and place. You are not an individual. You are not subject to the laws of nature. Okay. Then you are free. Therefore, jnanena tu tadajnanam yesham nashitamatmanah. 16th shloka I am reading. Whose ajnanam, whose misperception about himself and life is corrected by jnanam, by right understanding. Right understanding is shifting your vision. Okay? The right understanding is taking a right standpoint, right vision, right angle of looking. Not standpoint, right angle of looking. Right way of looking. Then you come to discover, come to understand yourself as already free being. You are not an individual, but a universal being. Individual is different from being. Being is just a being, a conscious being. Is not an individual. Consciousness, conscious being is consciousness. Non-individual consciousness, a universal consciousness, all inclusive, all pervasive. Not subject to time and death, not subject to comparison, compare and contrast. Okay? You can neither be enslaved, neither you can enslaved, nor you can dominate, because everybody is you. All other living beings are your own heart. So you can't think of enslaving, you can't think of anybody as an enemy to you. See, that enmity gone, hatred gone. Your whole approach is everybody you see as yourself. That gives you total freedom. Therefore, this is the jnanam. Jnanam is your right approach, right way of looking at yourself and the world and life. In that thing, in that right understanding, all the things, your individuality gets corrected. Take the whole world as a 3 states, which we have discussed before. The whole world is included in waking, dream and deep sleep. There is no world outside these 3 states. And look at all the 3 states. You are passing through 3 states. But one who is underlying all the 3 states is not subject to states, is not an individual, is free, conscious being. Okay. So, jnanena tu tadajnanam. By jnanam, by understanding, by intuitive understanding, with the help of Vedanta, he gains the knowledge, that illumination. His ajnanam, his misperception about himself and life gets corrected. His jivahood is a false entity, is a false, not an entity. You transcend it, you understand yourself as a free being. Then his knowledge is, his understanding is not a tentative understanding. His understanding is not a fluctuating, is not subject to improvement. Subject to improvement means what is misunderstanding alone is further corrected, again corrected, because they are all partial understandings, tentative and partial understanding. Therefore, his knowledge is like the knowledge of sun. Okay? Tesham adityavajnanam prakashayati tatparam. His knowledge is like the knowledge of sun. Sun illumines the whole knowledge, complete knowledge, final knowledge. Okay? Sun's illumination is natural, spontaneous, complete. It doesn't suffer from any shade of, shadows and dimness, darkness. The sunlight doesn't suffer from night. Sun doesn't have no night. Sun doesn't have a night. No darkness, no shadows, no dimness. He is clear and spontaneously brightest. Nothing covers him up. Nothing dims his light. Light is spontaneous, natural, okay, self-shining. Nothing comes in its way of shining. Therefore, adityavat, your knowledge, once you know the truth of Atma as free from your individuality, free from the relation with the world, as a pure consciousness, because you understand you are underlying all the three states. You are not undergoing state, but you are underlying the state. Okay? You are not undergoing the states, you are underlying the states. Therefore, you are free. You are free from time and place. You are free from relations. You are free from comparisons and contrasts. You are free by your very nature. You are peaceful and happy because that is your very nature. Nobody can take away your peace and happiness. And you are no more an individual because everybody is included, whole world is included. So this understanding, once you get, your understanding about yourself is like that of a sun. Tesham adityavat jnanam. Teshat jnanam prakashayati. Like Aditya. Aditya means sun. It shines like the sun. Like means in what respect? In what aspect you are comparing with the sun? Just as sun's light is natural. Nothing can obstruct it. Similarly, your knowledge, your jnanam, your intuitive understanding of your Atma is so natural to you. It can never go away, nobody can take away. It is not a partial understanding. It is not a partial knowledge, it is a complete, full knowledge. Prakashayati tatparam. Okay? So the knowledge corrects your individuality, your misperception, ajnanam. Now, Jnani's nature. How does Jnani live? In the 17th shloka is going to cover. We'll discuss in the next class. The 17th shloka says, what is a natural state of Jnani, enlightened man, enlightened person? And the same description is useful for a sadhaka. The description is going to be given in the 17th shloka of an enlightened being. And whatever he is, Jnani, that becomes a sadhana for sadhaka, for a seeker of knowledge. Okay? Tadbuddhayas tadatmanas tannishtas tatparayana. 4 points. 5th is Jnana nirdhuta kalmasha. Such person gacchantya punaravrittim. Whatever improvement he makes, we make now, we need a next improvement. Next stage of further advancement. Once you get one advancement, again we have to change it. Here, you don't need further improvement, further change, because you got a total absolute freedom. Absolute freedom, absolute happiness. I think I have to stop. This is enough. We'll discuss in the next class. Continue in the next. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.